What is up? This is the Lads Talking Footy podcast. As always, myself, Sam, joined by Jordan Tana. We're both rocking the retro jerseys this week. I think we took a little bit of a manifestation from my Wars pick, and you've gone and pulled on the sky blue I see there, and I've got the Manly, hoping for a bounce back win for them there, mate. That's a hell of a jersey, man. Do you want to give us some backdrop on it?
Yeah. So my old man just had it in his wardrobe and he gave it to me. It's an old New South Wales Blues. I don't know the year exactly, sorry, but I know that there's a signature right here and it's Laurie Daly's signature. So yeah, quite a cool jersey. I don't think he's more of a rugby union guy, so I don't think he really appreciated it as much as he probably should. But I saw it and I was like, sick, man. I'll bloody have that.
How good. I'll actually get you to send me a photo of that after the show, and I'll send it through to Retro Rugby League. He follows us. We talk a little bit. If you're out there and you love your jerseys, go give him a follow because he breaks it all down really well, and it'd be interesting to see what he has to say about that. Episode 57, mate, we're moving along nicely. Over the weekend, Magic Round, 6 of the 8 games were decided by 8 points or less, and there were only 4 teams that did not score more than 20 points over the weekend. Very, very entertaining Magic Round. It's set to stay in Brisbane for the next 3 years. What were your thoughts on it all?
Yeah, it was good, man. And the footy turned on as well, and the atmosphere turned on. Also, it was kind of... It always gives you the vibes of like a sevens tournament, but with, a little bit more not important, but a little bit more hard-hitting action with the rugby league and whatnot. It had a cool vibe with all the teams coming to the tunnel and watching the other teams play before they had to play themselves. There was a whole mixed group in the crowd, and all the crowd was really vocal for the teams that they were supporting on the day. And even some of the teams that they weren't supporting, they just got behind them because it was a good potential upset result. Yeah, I thought it was real cool. I thought it was a great success and a fun weekend of footy to watch.
Yeah, for sure. I don't know about you, but I was getting a little bit of FOMO sitting there watching it all. So
Yeah.
we've had a few discussions about planning something for next year. So I can say, hand on chairs, the lads will be at Magic Round next year, and I can't wait for it all.
Yep. Start the fun now.
Yeah, give a little. We'll hit the link in the bio. Now, last year, Magic Round turned into Tragic Round for us. Do you want to take us away with accountability and let's see how we went this year?
Yeah, it's not quite Tragic Round, but it's a bit rough with some of the best bets for me at least. The picks were good from both of us though. 6 of 8 for both of us. We started off the week with the Raiders beating the Bulldogs 24-20 and a bit of a comeback win there. I actually got a tick in the first one. Raiders 1-12 going over, which is always a reliable pick from last year.
Yeah, there was very good betting from you in that one. It's Raiders 1-12 is a hell of a lock. I went with Tomoko and Adokar at $6 and we go down there.
The Broncos beating the Seagulls in a very close one. Your Seagulls unfortunately couldn't just quite get over the line. 13-12, they had their chances. Unfortunately for the best bets, I've gone Broncos head-to-head, which they have done, but total points over 46.5. Way off on that one and a real close affair.
Yeah, I thought it would be a little bit more high scoring. I've gone for 3 try scorers in this one. Cobo, Mariner, and Hamole at 13.75. So we go down there. And Selwyn Cobo, Magic Round, treats him very well, but it doesn't this occasion.
Yeah, he played really good. He just couldn't get himself a meat pie. But hey, lo and behold, we move on. Corn off the Cobo on this occasion. Knights beat the Titans 28-24 in another comeback game. Great bunch of games in Magic Round. The Knights minus 6.5 I've just missed out on because they've only won by 4 points, unfortunately.
Yeah, and I've had a classic push here. Bradman Best to score. He came off injured, and the Knights to win at $2.78. So no tick, no collect there, but we get our money back.
Yeah, it's not a loss. But a team that did lose, Roosters, unfortunately going down to the Sharks, 38-30, and a great performance from the Sharks, a statement performance from the Sharkies. I've gone the Roosters. I didn't want to get in front of that train, but the Roosters unfortunately lose. I've gone 1-12 of them.
Yeah, and I've taken Mulatalo and Dom Young, who have both scored, and then I've also put in the Roosters to win at $6.25. So unfortunately, we go down on that one. Big Tom Hazelton goes over the line and ruins it for us.
Yeah. It's good to see Mulatalo back in your good graces, though. He was well and truly due, and he got over finally for the Sharkies.
Yeah, he was overdue, but the use-by date was up this time.
Yeah. Speaking of due, and this was 2 teams that were well due a win. Unfortunately for the Rabbitohs, it's the Cowboys that get it. 28-22. I've come through with a good one here. Cowboys head-to-head into total points over 48.5. So a late try for the Rabbitohs. I think Damien Cook got me over the line there.
Nice. And yeah, I ended up with a push in this one. I had taken Kyle Felt early on before he gets ruled out. And Braden Birds comes in, who did end up scoring for him. And then I also partnered that up with Val Holmes at $4. So yeah, we get voided on that one.
Then the biggest result of the round, the round where you've shown your true faith as a Warriors supporter, a Warriors bandwagon, sorry. You've always been on the train. But yeah, great pick by you. Warriors beating the Panthers 22-20. I didn't have the faith. I should be kicked off the bandwagon, really. Panthers 13 plus has gone down for me. Shocking pick there.
Yeah, and I've taken a Taruva or To'o, 2+ combined. Neither of them score, and the Warriors plus 12.5 at $7.50. I should have just backed myself and gone a simple Warriors on the nose. Managed to manifest it with the jersey at the podcast beforehand, so hopefully we're working a bit of juju this week.
Yeah, I can already tell who you're picking this week for the Four Pines Park clash between the Storm and the Sea Eagles. Speaking of Storm, 48-16, the most impressive performance of the round. I've gone Storm 1-12. I tried to sneak some value thinking the Eels could make it a competitive game, but nope, really didn't.
Yeah, and I've ended up going in on a hooker in this one. Harry Grant, fantastic try-scoring record against the Eels as of late, and he doesn't bag one, he bags two in this one, and the Storm to win at $4.20. Very, very juicy in that one. So yeah, we'll dance to that. Harry got up.
Harry definitely got up, and another thing that got up is the Finns, and that is the Dolphins beating the Tigers 24-12. Another real near miss for me. I've gone the Dolphins 13 plus, and they have won by just 12 points. So unfortunately, the Finns let me down there.
Yeah, and I've put my fin up on this one, and the main man that puts his fin up, and that is the Hammer into the Finns to win at $2.25. So we go in there.
And onto the repeat set bets. I have gone the Dolphins for this one, though, and it has come through with a little bit less greedy of a bet. Dolphins minus 5.5 coming through for me there for my repeat sets. And I've still, to this point, what round are we in? Round 12 or 11? Only missed 2 of them. So we're still going good with the repeat set bets.
Yeah, lock it up with JT at the moment. You're doing well on those. As for me, I've taken Dom Young, who's gone over, and Sunia Taruva, who has not gone over at $3. So we go down there, unfortunately.
And 40-20 bets on the other hand, where I haven't done so well. Raiders head-to-head, which has hurt, but unfortunately, like you said, that Panthers drought for the wingers. I've gone Brian To'o anytime try scorer, which has gone.
Yeah, and I put in the magic multi for us this week, and we started off with Muratalo, who went in, Armstrong, who went in, and Harry Grant, who went in. And I was thinking, here we go. But Asako and Selwyn Cobbo, the corn was off the Cobbo on this one, $77.74. We go down with the 2 letters, and the 2 that I thought were actually really going to cash in for us in this one. So my total unit collection after Magic Round is still a plus 2.45 unit collection. It's obviously with the 2 pushes from the 2 games, which takes my total units to 73.13 units on the season. As for the Telegram recap, which is the free betting service that we do each week, 44.5 units were staked and a 37.12 unit collect. So a small loss goes in the book. It's only the second losing round for the year as well. Our best slip collected in that one was just a Coates and Sevo, same game multi, up at $4 on that one. The rest were all just small fish at a high stake. And we actually missed a $56.25 slip going down to a Nanai and a Taulangi as well. Nanai had 2 denied, and Taulangi was just setting them up instead of scoring himself. So we came very, very close on a couple of good ones. We move into the headlines. So we've got a couple here. Cam Munster, obviously the freshest one of the players, is now set to miss the Origin series. But I think this is more of a bigger blow to the Storm. He came in late with injury issues to begin with. Now the injury concerns are across the board for Melbourne at the moment. Obviously, it's a huge blow for Queensland, but I'm a little bit more concerned for Melbourne because they're doing a lot better and a lot more competitive than I thought, especially if they're going to make a run at this.
Yeah, it is really unfortunate. It is unfortunate for both because if you see the potential replacements for Queensland, it is going to be someone relatively young and inexperienced like a Tommy Dearden or maybe like even an AJ Brimson. I don't know who exactly they're going to go with for that 6th position, but even though Tom Dearden played really good last year, it's not going to be someone to the experience and the level of a Cam Munster. So it is a big blow for Queensland, and goes hand in hand with you saying it's a big blow for the Storm, because they're going to go 2 months, probably around 8-9 games without him. And he is a very key part of the spine. I know they've been winning earlier in the season without him, and Jerome Hughes has really stepped up in that regard, and a whole lot of their other players have really stepped up. But against these good teams like your Sharks, like your Roosters, like your Broncos, you need someone with the X-factor ability that a Cam Munster brings. And Tyron Wishart has been outstanding. I've been super impressed with his play. But I feel like there's going to be moments when they do miss Cam Munster, and they miss, the 6 or 8 points he can make out of nowhere with a spark of brilliance. So, yeah, it's a tough result for the Storm. I still think they'll hang around that top 4 spot. But yeah, it's going to be a little more dicey without him.
Yeah, I agree. The injury cloud's kind of all focus turns towards Jerome Hughes and how healthy he can be to finish the season. But yeah, it's a big loss for Melbourne nonetheless. And as for the Queensland sort of situation, Tommy Dearden, I believe it was not last year, the year beforehand, came in that game 3 to replace Munster and played really well, helped them get a job done. But it's a very different game coming in and playing that one game as opposed to controlling a whole series. I think it's going to be between him and Ezra Mam on who gets that 6 jersey, but I am leaning towards Tommy Dearden, which we'll talk about a little bit later in State of Origin Corner. Brad Arthur, sacked by the Eels yesterday. Rumours had been swirling for a little while about this one. I did not think when we entered the season that the Eels and the Rabbitohs coaching roles were going to be the first people on the hot seats to begin the year. For me, we've seen one backflip already this year in the way of David Fifita. I'm a little bit worried that Lomax could pull his own backflip in this one. He did want that Brad Arthur clause in his contract to begin with. I saw a headline come out today saying that they were going to reach out to him, I believe it is tomorrow, to touch base on how he's feeling. But do you think Lomax can pull a backflip here on this one?
I mean, I wouldn't put it past him, man. He wanted to leave the Dragons just because they were playing him on the wing as opposed to centre. So he's definitely a man who knows what he wants. Him having that clause potentially in his contract as well is also a red flag. So
they denied him having the clause in his contract.
Oh, okay.
I know there's obviously a settling period with these, which I'd say he would have gone over. But I mean, I'm sure he'd be able to weasel out of something if the main reason he was going there was to be coached by Brad Arthur.
Yeah. He'll have his lawyers and his agent looking over that contract and the fine print and the fine wording. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we come next week or this week see Zach Lomax staying with the Dragons, which I'd like, honestly, considering the situation with the Eels right now, because I think he's been real good for the Dragons, and I kind of want to see the Dragons have their chance at building something down there in St. George. But in terms of Brad Arthur, very surprising. I'm very surprised with the sacking. It comes at a weird time because it's almost as if he hasn't really gotten a chance to show what he can do this season with a fully healthy team. Like, he's had Moses out for the most part, and then they kind of sack him when they're in a bit of a cold stretch at the moment. But their backline has been makeshift every week. And it's just, yeah, I do feel like this was the right time to sack him. Maybe if they strung together 3 losses in a row with Moses back, then you can sack him, because obviously what's the excuse now? But I'm very surprised at this news, honestly.
Yeah, I'm completely on the same page with you as well. I mean, he's just come out of a week with no Gutho and no Moses, and you've said the result hasn't quite happened. I mean, it's been clicky with the Eels over the last couple of years. They've always been that side that wins games that they potentially shouldn't win, with up against the likes of Penrith and all of that, and then loses games that they should be winning. He has taken them to a final, though, as well, and just everything. The players seem to have a lot of respect around Brad Arthur as well. Zach Lomax potentially coming into the situation and wants a clause around Brad Arthur. I mean, we saw all of that noise around Holbrook with the Titans. So he is well respected within the players. You hear a lot of ex-players talk very highly of him as well. So I agree. I was very surprised with the call, given the circumstances around them not having their full cattle in the wings for them. Who do you think they'll go after in this one? I mean, obviously, the Wayne Bennett rumours started to swirl straight away, but that's gone to bed. Holbrook is an option, or do you think potentially they stay with Trent Barrett?
Yeah, I'm really uncertain on the future of the Eels now, to be honest. it's going to be a real important time for Trent Barrett to. If Trent Barrett can string some really good results along, and the Eels start playing some good positive footy, and even surprise a team here or there, I think he can really put his hand up for this role. So I don't really know the market too well at the moment, but it seems wide open. So Trent Barrett really has a good opportunity to stamp his to stand 10 toes down on this position.
Yeah, for sure. Sammy Burgess' name has been floating a little bit. And then I think also on the flip side of that, Brad Arthur has said that he's not done in the NRL. So if you're a team or a coach of a team that's not quite performing well at the moment, your days could be numbered, and it could be a quick flick for a pickup as well. While we're talking about coaches, the last one here, Wayne Bennett, he finally inks the deal, a 3-year, $3.6 million deal with South. Is he already pulling the strings from his distance with the Walker and White and half decision in this one, do you think?
Oh, man. I wouldn't put it past him. He's probably got Ben Hornby's number in his phone, because he did go to a premiership with Ben Hornby and the Dragons. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the big shadow looming over everyone is that legend in Wayne Bennett. And you could see, I mean, he is a legend, but we can't attribute him with too much. If the Rabbitohs start turning around, we can't just say it's because Wayne Bennett has this sort of puppet strings on it. We have to give a lot of credit to Ben Hornby here. But yeah, it is a really good move by the Rabbitohs. I'm looking forward to Wayne Bennett coming in, because they need someone with a little bit of respect like a Wayne Bennett to come in and set some of these guys in line, because we heard all through the reports last year that there was dissension amongst the ranks. There was maybe players getting favorable treatment here, and, some players not liking that, and just a really bad vibe within the culture that were coming out in reports. So, Wayne Bennett is not going to put up with any of that shit. So it's a brilliant move bringing him in, and hey, Sammy Branks can be happy that they've got something looking positive going for the Rabbitohs.
Yeah, for sure. He'll be firing up. Do you think, correct me if I'm wrong on my maths here, listeners and that, but I think by the time the deal's done, he might be, I think it might be 82 years old. Do you think this is his last stint with a team? And do you think maybe we might even see a little Netflix series in The Last Dance with Wayne Bennett and the Rabbitohs?
Fuck, I'd love that. I'd watch the shit out of that. 82 is very old. I don't know how. I know Tim Sheens was. How old was Tim Sheens? Is he older than Wayne Bennett?
I'm not too sure of that, but Wayne looks a little bit older.
Yeah, he does. He does.
A bit more
Yeah,
withered.
so I'm going to go out on my shield, and I'm going to say this will be his last stint. He obviously loves coaching still, because he's still taking all these jobs at a very advanced age and with so many years under his belt in the NRL. So he obviously still loves it. And who am I to say that he should stop doing it if he still loves it? So 82, 85, 88, just keep going until you don't want to do it no more, bro.
Exactly, and there's so much success off the back of him as well. State of Origin corner, we did props, locks, and edges last week. Now for the bench as we approach. Do you want to just give me your quick Queensland replacement? We've obviously had to do a rolling team as we go through this, with Nathan Cleary going out last week, Tom Turbo and that. And now this week we're going to Queensland. Just like for like, I'm just going to take, obviously Cam Munster's coming out. I'm going to put Tom Dead, and I think he's getting first crack at it.
And I completely agree. I really thought about Ezra Mam long and hard this afternoon. Pause. But I am going to go with Tommy Dearden just on the back of the fact that he did play last year and he played pretty good. So he's had that experience in that arena. They're kind of like for like in terms of ability almost. They're both really talented guys.
Both strawberry blonde as well.
Yeah, well, they're both the same complexion. No, kidding. Yeah, Tommy Dearden, I think, has earned it with his performance last year. So I will stick with him.
Nice. Now let's go bench, New South Wales. We'll start off with that. I'm going to have Appy coming off the bench for me. Obviously, I had Reece Robson in the starting position there. Robson to take a lot of the heat from the get-go. Appy to come in and just be crafty around the ruck. I've got Mitch Barnett in there. He's had a fantastic season for the Warriors. Absolutely barnstorming, tough as nails, is exactly what New South Wales need to come off the bench and make an impact for them. This one's a bit of a toughie here. I've kind of had two that have been tossing up in the way of Hamoli Olakau'atu and also Hudson Young. And I'm going with Hudson Young in this one. I think the form coming into it has been fantastic. The only thing that has me thinking is coming off that bench, I I have a feeling it might be Hamole because he can go to that right side, which then shifts Liam Martin into the middle if need be. Whereas I'm not too sure if Hudson Young could do quite that same jobby out on that right hand side. But that's one that I'll be going with. And then to round it all off, Cam McInnes, I'm going to put him in there. I just want someone to go in there, tackle the shit out of everything. I've got Appy coming in, you've got Barnett coming in, and Cam McInnes. Just that little bit of grunt, that mongrel for New South Wales. And obviously I named Matt Burden in at the centre role, just for a little bit of flexibility in the cover of that. So that's what I'll be going for New South Wales as my bench.
Yeah, and my bench, honestly, it changed after the weekend. I had my bench locked in, and then I saw a few things from Magic Round that made me flip on a dime and change some of my picks. So at number 14, I'm going with Cam McInnes. I'm going to have him in that number 14 role because he can play a bit of hooker, and then he's also versatile enough to play other positions on the field. At 15, this one is an absolute bolter. I don't know how confident I am in saying this one will come through, but it was between him and another guy. But I'm going with Tom Hazelton. I'm just going to throw a random bolter out there. I think he's been outstanding. He's shown last year for the Sharks that he is good in limited minutes coming off the bench and the impact that he can provide. He's a try-scoring machine, so take that for what you will, but I'm going with Tom Hazelton at number 15. At number 16, I am going with Homole Olakau'atu. I think his form needs to be rewarded. I think he's versatile and big enough to play in the front row if need be. And he's just got a nice little offload and a few skills that I would like to add a bit of X factor into a game coming off a bench. And then at number 17, I'm going with Matt Burton. I just want that back cover to come in because I have gone with Cam McInnes instead of like a hooker that could play somewhere else like a Epi Coruscant. So I want Matt Burton to come in and potentially cover any injuries that there may be in the centers and stuff like that. I think he's just versatile enough for that. And then I don't know if you did 18th man, but I had 18th man as well. That's where I will have Epi Coruscant. I had him at 14 initially going into Magic Round, and then he started fucking me off with performance for the Tigers. And I didn't like how on the 4th and 5th tackles he picks it up, has a look around for like 10 seconds, and then all this like backline's waiting there while the defenses come up. It's like he's getting greedy and trying to get little grubber kick tries out of dummy half, and it pissed me off. So I thought in my head, nah, you're going to 18th man. We're giving Cam McInnes the shot at 14.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't gone with an 18th man. I'm gonna leave that to be at the moment. I feel like I put too much thought into it, but I'm gonna do a quick change up. I'm gonna take Hudson Young out. I'm gonna put Hamoli in. You're 100% right. He can play in the middle if need be as well. And obviously covers that edge on that right side. So yeah, if I was going to put one, probably be Huddy Young at 18th man, or potentially someone a little bit more versatile, maybe even a Dylan Edwards.
Quick thought. What are your thoughts on Tom Hazelton being in it for me? Have I lost my mind?
The bald freak has been in some fine form at the moment. Tom Hazelton is a try-scoring machine. You look at, obviously, the criteria that Madge has sort of discussed coming into it, and he wants to see players coming into his Game 1 squad that have hit form as well, so I don't hate the pick. It's an interesting pick, nonetheless, Tommy Hazelton. Did you have Mitch? You had Mitch Barnett in your starting squad, didn't you?
No, I didn't. I've actually snubbed Mitch Barnett, and it's a little bit of a big snub because I think he has been good enough to potentially make it. The other guy along with Mitch Barnett, the other guy I had in contention was Regan Campbell-Gillard. I just always like his work as a front rower and his work off the bench. But yeah, I've ultimately decided to reward Tom Hazelton for his form.
Yeah, it's super tough when you look at that bench spot. You just got to play with rotation a little bit, I guess. And obviously, I've gone with the dual hooker role in this one as well. You've got Cam McInnes who can potentially do a job in the middle there, so I do like it. But yeah, it's going to be interesting. Sometimes the selection pool, I guess, for New South Wales a little bit too big. There's too many fish in the sea, and it's hard to pick only 4 of them as your rotation. As we move into Queensland, though, this one's a little bit of an easier one. We got Harry Grant that's sitting on the bench there for me. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. We discussed that a little while ago. Mo Fodawaker, I think he's done a fantastic job for the Titans in the absence of Tino, and we've seen him on the Origin stage before. I just wanted to come in and do a jobby. Now I'm going Felice Kafusi. I just want to see him bring that energy on the defensive end, that bald freak up top, and that hideous mullet or whatever the hell he's doing on the back. I want to see it in the Origin arena, and I just want to see him bring that impact. And then I've gone with Jermaine Hopgood to round it all out as well. Potentially give Paddy Carrigan or Ruben Cotter just a little bit of a break in the middle, bring his ball skills into play a little bit more when he comes in that offloading game, which would light Harry Grant up a little bit as well. So yeah, take it with a grain of salt. Hopefully New South Wales get up, but that's the bench I'll be going with for Queensland.
Yeah, and mine is very similar to yours. For number 14, I've gone with Harry Grant. Speaks for itself, really. They've been doing it for years now, and it's been pretty successful. At number 15, I've gone with, I don't know if he's going to be back in time health-wise, but I've gone with Tom Flegler. Do you know the situation there? Will he be back?
I believe he is supposed to be back, but it keeps pushing at the moment. So there is that sort of grey area that keeps looming. Obviously, you got the same thing with Mitch Moses as well.
Yeah, so I will put a little asterisk next to his name, and in his place will be Kafusi if Tommy Flegler can't make it. But other than that, Kafusi's not in at the moment. At number 16, I have Jaden Sewer. I think Jaden Sewer's been really good. I think he can come in and do a good job in that second row position. I'm going to reward his form because he's actually been pretty all good for the Dragons himself. And then at number 17, I have Jermaine Hopgood as well. He's been outstanding, the offloading ability. He's been in a struggling team, but I think he's a young guy and someone that this Queensland team is going to put a lot of investment in to be one of the forwards of the future for them. And then with 18th man, I did well for this as well. I'm going to go AJ Brimson. I think his form. Oh, he's been injured though, hasn't he?
Yeah. That's who I would have gone with 18th man as well.
Yeah. Scratch that. We'll go Ezra Mam.
Nice, a little bit of rotation. It'll be good to see Mam in that squad as well, nonetheless. So yeah, we'll put up a post with our final teams, and let's see how close we can get as to what the game one squads are as they release them as we approach State of Origin game one. I can't wait for it. Now we got 2 listener questions in this one. The first one comes from the Couch Commentators podcast. Do we think there's a reason why we get so many sin bins in Magic Round? So there were a total of 11 over the weekend. The Storm game was the only one that didn't feature a sin bin. And just to put it into a little bit of context, round 10 only featured 3 total sin bins. So as we were watching the game, I obviously there were a lot of sin bins. There was one in pretty much every single game, but it's not something that I picked up on for the whole round as such. Is there a reason behind it? I'm not too sure. Maybe the shit turf at Suncorp at the moment made them slip a little bit into that heavy contact, or potentially with the hip drop, the turf was giving out a little bit more. Maybe there are a few Magic Round shenanigans at the Caxton with a few of the lads in that. But yeah, I was a little bit shocked when I did see that there were 11 in total over the weekend. I had a look back to last year's Magic Round. There wasn't a hell of a lot. Maybe it's just the flavour of the fruit at the moment and just sort of how the refs reffed it in this one.
I mean, you can always put it down to Magic Round shenanigans because every year there does seem to be something in the air that causes things like this to happen. Magic Round shenanigans has been the mantra of the show ever since we've started doing this. But I could put it down to something else as well, something a little funny. There is a lot of people in the area. It's a bit of a party vibe at Magic Round. Maybe some of the players are indulging in the party vibe that's around Brisbane during the weekend and maybe going out the night before their game and, getting a little sloppy in game with technique when it comes to hip drops and loose arms and stuff like that. So that is a pretty far-fetched theory, but I've heard some stories from like Joey Johns and the stuff they used to get up to before games. So you never know, man.
Maybe Roosters, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. We'll see what's out in the media at the moment. The second one here comes from Eric. He's in again. Which team do you think will be affected the most with the loss of players come Origin time? For me, I think it will be New South Wales just because of the Cleary situation and just how centred around him, that whole sort of New South Wales game plan is, the way they play everything, but also the player selection coming into it. As soon as Cleary went out, I was really hesitant to put Dylan Edwards in there, and having named James Tedesco on my squad just for sort of the roll-on effect that it might have. I've heard a lot of conversation around Liam Martin potentially coming out of the Origin squad, given Nathan Cleary's not on that right edge anymore. Obviously, as soon as Nathan goes out, Luai discussions end as well. So I think New South Wales have been affected the most out of this. And obviously then on the flip side for Queensland, even if that Munster injury came throughout a game, we'd just see Ben Hunt shift into the 5'8" role and Harry Grant take over the reins there. So they just have a lot more options. And then obviously you've got a lot more, you've got like-for-like players coming in that have experience in there, and Tommy Dearden as well.
Yeah, you've said it all perfectly, really. That's the exact same points I was going to make. I think New South Wales will definitely be the more affected team because of Cleary. And his selection is almost penciled in before the Origin season even kicks off, before the NRL season even kicks off. And then, like you said, all the pieces that you have made up the Blues teams in recent years have been a byproduct of the Panthers, and Cleary has been the conductor of that Panthers operation. So I do fully agree with you. And then I also think that the New South Wales team just seems to chop and change a little more over the years, maybe because of the depth that we have compared to Queensland. There is a little bit more player depth in certain positions, especially in the forwards and even in the backs, like the centre position and the fullback positions as well. So our team has never really been finite like the Queensland team has seemed to be. It seemed to be Daly Cherry Evans, Munster with Ben Hunt at that 9 for like the last 3-4 years. So I think when something like that happens and they can bring a guy in like Dearden who has been in the system, it really doesn't have as much as an effect as, say, like a guy who does constantly get picked for the team like New South Wales, but the team is constantly changing around him. So yeah, I think it definitely will hurt New South Wales.
For sure. And then you look at the Kalen Ponga situation, and just like Reece Walsh is there as well for them. Obviously, Brimo is a big one. It sort of would have centered around those three. But yeah, I think New South Wales will struggle a little bit more with the losses of those players. And good question again, man. You've hit us with two doozies 2 weeks in a row. Power play of the round brought to you by TBC Live. For me this week is Murray Taulagi's try assist to that little strawberry blonde thing and Tommy Dearden. Crazy play, I thought. It started off with the catch from Valentine Holmes, who offloaded it to Taulagi. He bumped off, I forget who he sat down on his ass, but he switches to Steeden around a couple of times with his big mitts. And then you'll like this one, Coach Tane. He puts a little cat flap in to the strawberry blonde boy and Tommy Dearden for his second try. I just thought it was a fantastic play. The flamboyant Cowboys bring out the razzle dazzle, and Taulagi was just showing his brute strength on full display in the way that he could just mid in that ball, change it around, and the offload ability from him. Fantastic footy, I thought, from the Cowboys.
Yeah, and he looked good in his return as well. He's going to be having his eye on a Queensland spot potentially. I know I late changed him for Cobbo because you brought to my attention that Cobbo can actually play wing. But Murray Taulagi is still a very talented player, and he played well in this game. It was good to see the Cowboys get a result as well. Speaking of results, the one that you picked, the biggest underdog of the weekend, I'm going for a moment in this game that came towards the end of the game, didn't really like cement the result, but was an absolute moment that you thought, wow, they've absolutely stopped an onslaught that saved the game. And that's Adam Pompey's hit on Jack Cole. Because 2 minutes left, Brian Toto makes the break. And the Panthers before that were kind of putting a lot of pressure on the Warriors. And the Warriors were just, it seemed like we were holding on by the skin of our teeth. But after that break, they try to shift it, like you do when you usually get breaks. They try to shift it and someone throws him. I can't remember who it was, but someone throws Jack Cole an absolute hospital of a pass, which he has to reach up for, opening his rib cage up completely. And Adam Pompey saw this moment, thought, hey, I need to sort of stop this and get the result for our team. Hits him right under the rib cage, knocks the absolute wind out of him, gets him on the ground. Unfortunately, we get a penalty against us, like 10 meters down the field. But Dylan Edwards, fortunately, misses that kick. But as they're waiting for Dylan Edwards to line up the kick, the camera goes back to Jack Cole, and he does the most profuse vomit I've seen on the field, like worse than like Reece Walsh or anything. He got hit so hard that it knocked up his breakfast, his lunch, everything came up after that hit from Adam Pompey. So shout out Adam Pompey. The intent was there to try save the game. Desperation hit on Jack Cole. And yeah, one for the highlight books.
Yeah, for sure. The folded like a deck chair and the full Subway combo with the double chocolate chip and the M&M cookie came up all in the big squirt. Yeah, it took over the internet, absolutely going viral, but it was just so thick. It was like almost like chocolate milk coming out of him. It was pretty nasty. And the fact that there was still, what, two more games to be played on that same field as well. Not sure who would have run through that one afterwards, but sheesh. Performances of the round. David Armstrong against the Titans. Someone was going to get a hat trick at Magic Round. I did not think that it would be him. He finished with 3 tries, 10 tackle breaks, and 264 run meters off 19 runs. And in Kalen Ponga's absence, I did not expect this performance across consistent weeks from the young fullback who is just lighting up the NRL at the moment. The Knights are 4-0 since he's come in at the fullback position for them. And he's not looking out of place at the moment at all. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, he's been real good, man. He's got a good, clean set of heels. He looks super fast. He's always pushing up on the inside and is a good support runner. And then he's dangerous with the ball in hand. You saw his, I believe, second try where he was close to the line and he did a little bit of footwork, beat someone and then beat Cleese Haas to get over. Absolutely fantastic from David Armstrong. He's been super impressive. And you didn't say he would get 3, but you did have him for the 1 try. And then you did say in the group chat after that 1 try, he's getting a hat trick. So you did kind of call. I'm always aware. I'm always aware of the calls you're making.
I mean, the Titans have given up coming into the round 11 tries to fullbacks. It was bound to happen. He was bound to get one. And then when you see him moving that good and that easily, that early, he just glides along the ground. So, yeah, 3, man. Looked very comfortable. Locked it up early.
Yeah, David Armstrong is absolutely outstanding performance. Speaking of outstanding performance, I'm going with a bit of a generic one, but we don't really shine too much light on this guy on the show because I feel like he probably gets a lot of shine in other shows out there, and we kind of like to highlight the younger guys. But I thought this guy was absolutely outstanding, and that was Nico Hines for the Sharks in their 38-30 win over the Roosters because, you know, I've always thought he was a talented player, but I've kind of had my doubts over the years whether he's really him, whether he's really like a Nathan Cleary. And I had good reason for that because they couldn't beat a top 18 last year, and they've flamed out in the playoffs for the last 2 years. And he's kind of not disappeared, but not been as good as his reputation probably warrants in those moments. And I thought maybe he's not quite up to the scratch of a Cleary, but this year he's showing me with a good team that he kind of is him, and he is playing outstanding. And in this really important game between 2 Titans, he was outstanding again. 14 points on 7 of 7 kicking, 92 run meters, 3 line break assists, 2 try assists, and 440 kick meters. And from the very first minute, he made a statement, shifting the ball on the blind side like he loves to do on the 5th tackle of the first set, which led to a 70-meter break that ended in a try. And then he just had his fingerprints all over the big moments of this game. Beautiful ball to Teague Wilton in the 32nd minute, shaping to go long before hitting him short. He's really good at that deception with his body language to make it look like he's going to do a pass that he isn't and then quickly changing it at the last second. Did that there. 65th minute. Another 5th tackle blindside raid, loves to do it, gets the hockey assist for the Mulatalo try, and then finally seals the game 78th minute with the AFB play that the Warriors like to do, hitting Hazelton on the backdoor, who charges over for the try. So on the back of a team like this, with the forwards so big and the ability for them to play front foot ball and get a lot of opportunities in the strike zone, he could very well be him. And I'm very impressed with his performances in big games like this, as opposed to maybe some of his previous years. So, Nico Hines, you're getting full credit from me this year.
Oh, I'm glad you brought up that AFB like-for-like comparison because, man, that's going to be dangerous next year. And you notice that they are playing a couple of those plays as well at the moment. They're getting themselves ready for the storm that is going to come in there in the way of Fanua Blake. So, yeah, Sharkies, man, watch out.
I didn't even realize when I said that.
You even said it as well, man. You said the AFB play like for like, and he's going there next year. It is going to be very, very scary from them. And I do like what you said. Nico Hines has been fantastic at the moment. And the Sharkies, they're beating top 8 teams at the moment. Very, very dangerous. Do you want to take us away on our Dally M points for the week? 3, 2, and 1 points.
Yeah, so Dally M lad of the week. 3 points does go to your boy David Armstrong, who was fantastic for the Knights. 3 tries, 264 run meters, 1 line break, and 10 tackle breaks. 2 points goes to Nico Hines, like I mentioned earlier, already covered off his stats. Has to be mentioned here with a performance like that in such an important game. And then 1 point goes to Harry Grant because he was absolutely outstanding in the Storm's route to the Eels. Had his fingerprints on everything. 2 tries, 92 run meters, 1 line break assist, 1 try assist, 4 tackle breaks, 1 offload, and 30 tackles. He filled up the stat sheet and was absolutely outstanding for the Storm and got them, changed the momentum that really got them absolutely to blow the doors off the Eels in this game. So shout out Harry Grant, you get the 1 point this week.
Nice. Nico Hines, I believe now, I have to check the spreadsheet, but takes a lead now in our Dally M lad points as well. So it'll be interesting to see if we end up picking the Dally M along with our points as well. It'd be cool next year maybe to actually set up like a proper system and follow along with it all. As for Grub of the Weeks, though, this week I'm going Jackson Hastings. I said just a few weeks ago with Reed Marnie being in everything. Yeah, you're punching yourself. You got the collar in this one. He loves a little bit of that. Well, Hastings, in this one, he ended up copping a Simbin because of it here, which is what we're a little bit worried about. Marnie looming to at some point, and it almost swung momentum completely from the Titans because they had ended up scoring, started the onslaught just before his absence, and they scored 2 more tries while he was off the field. Had that halftime hooter not come, it could have got very, very ugly for the Knights with Hastings off at the moment. But yeah, man, what's with these little fellas seeing red at the moment in terms of Marnie and Hastings, because they're just loving the chin punches at the moment, but they ain't coming out and swinging that.
Yeah, it might be the headgear. The headgear might be on a little too tight, and it's making them uncomfortable. And then
either that, or they've got a bit more confidence.
Yeah, well, maybe that's it. And that's such a dirty little play, the old collar jab, because it is essentially just a short arm jab, but you're hiding it by pretending you're just pushing the guy's collar. But really, he was doing it really dirty, and I'm glad he got Simbin for that. Shot had to get Simbin as well because he was doing the exact same thing, but definitely initiated by Hastings and a well-deserved Grub of the Week.
For sure, and it was getting pretty niggly there for a little while. Hastings taking on Fafita as well, and Fafita was chirping back. When Hastings was heading off to the tunnels as well, Fafita was chirping, and I would have loved to have seen a little Adam Blair Stewart moment had Inglis and Hastings been sent off together, because that would have been fireworks. But yeah, wild game as well for Fafita. He was kind of a little bit in the running for me in terms of Grub of the Week. It was almost just like that prop that thinks he can kick in junior grade. And there was 2 or 3 times he was putting up these bombs on the last play. It was real random. It's like he backflipped on his deal and he just thought, I can do whatever the fuck I want.
Yeah, it actually gave that vibe, especially one of them where he gets it from dummy half.
And then hoofs it.
Puts up an absolute skyscraper. Decent height on it, but
yeah,
you wouldn't think that's the preferred option for the team.
It's like he watched a game in Union beforehand and thought I'd try a box kick. Now we're going to move into the round 2 preview. So we move out of Magic Round, and this week it's Indigenous Round. The named rounds are going to start flowing as we sort of move towards Origin. I'm not sure when we'll have our Pride Round and everything else that comes along with it. But the Bulldogs, they take on the Dragons at Accor Stadium. To start us off, the Bulldogs are $1.57 favourites in this one. The Dragons are $2.42 underdogs with the line at 3.5. All of these odds are obviously accurate as of 6 p.m. on Tuesday, but as I was going through, the lines were shifting a lot and odds as well, so they may be subject to change as we go through. As for the lineups, the Bulldogs, Salmon returns for them, pushing Josh Curran to the bench, and just one change for the Dragons here. Leiloa comes back from injury, which is a big gain for them. At the venue, the Dogs have a 54% win rate and the Dragons have a 44% win rate. The Dogs have won 2 of their last 3 games against the Dragons and beat them 18-16 in their most recent meeting. At Accor Stadium, they've both won 2 each of their last 4 games against each other. So for me, I'm kind of struggling to pick one a little bit here in this. The Dragons are coming off the bye, which I really like, but the Dogs had been building some form as opposed to last week. But I'm going to go Dragons in this one. I just think that they can turn this one ugly and potentially grind something out.
Yeah, the bye is a huge factor for me. And Leiloa coming back. He was looking really good at the start of the year. So I don't hate the pick. The Bulldogs did win the last time they played 18-16. And that was at Dragons home turf. And now they return home, which, 54% isn't like a great win rate, but it's still a positive win rate. And it's good to see both teams coming in with absolutely full strength lineups. Like, considering the injuries that we've seen in the NRL, this is going to be a pretty good game. So I'm actually looking forward to this game for a Thursday night. Both teams of the same mold, really, when you look at them play and on paper. They've got explosive attacks that can score good in short amounts of time, but both make errors that let them down. And it really cost the Bulldogs last week in Magic Round, who had nearly 4 minutes more time of possession and 300 more running meters than the Raiders and still lost. So pretty icky result there from the Bulldogs, but I do trust the Bulldogs more at home. Looking at the results, it's less likely for their wheels to fall completely off with some close losses to the Storm, the Panthers, and even a win over the Roosters, whereas the Dragons got 60 put on them by the Chooks and have had, bad losses to the Knights, Cowboys, and Dolphins, who have all put over 30 on them. So I do trust the Bulldogs just a little bit more. Clear conditions in Sydney, so I do expect these full-strength teams to score. So I am going to go with the little double header. Bulldogs head-to-head into total points over 40.5 at $2.70.
Tasty. For me in this one, Zach Lomax, he scored 7 tries in 10 games this year. The Dogs have given up 2 tries in their last 3 games to right wingers. Tyrell Sloan, he scored 7 tries in 10 games this year. And if the Dragons are going to, or these two are going to score tries, the Dragons are going to win. So I'm going to back them. I'm going to go Zach Lomax to score, Tyrell Sloan to score, Dragons to win at $7.75.
So big. Oh my God, it's so big.
Now the Cowboys, they take on the Tigers at Queensland Country Bank Stadium. The Cowboys are $1.26 favourites in this one. The Tigers are $3.82 underdogs with the line sitting at 11.5. The Cowboys, Todd Payton's named the same 17 that defeated the Bunnies at Magic Round. For the Tigers, both centres picking up suspensions last week, which has forced Benji Marshall to run deep into his roster. He's picked up Declan Casey and Josh Falladay to join the backline. Ice Papa, though, he returns for them after his suspension as well. 33% win rate here for the Tigers. They have a 1-3 record and come into this with just 2 wins on the season. The Tigers have won 2 of their last 3 games against the Cowboys, though, and let me turn your attention back to last year in round 12 when they beat them 66-18. The Cowboys' most recent victory, though, over them was 74-0. So these two teams are just wild at the moment, and they have won their last 2 recent games against them at this venue. This gives me icky vibes here. I'm not sure why. Again, I'm going to go the Cowboys to win this. They should win this. They've lost games that they should win this year, and they've won games that they potentially shouldn't have. It's just a very, very weird one. Maybe a bit of shenanigans here, but Cowboys win.
Yeah, I mean, last year is the epitome of shenanigans with those 2 results, 66-18. And then, if you remember, it was only about 4 weeks, the turnaround, and it was like 74-0 for the Cowboys the other way. So I don't blame you for having an icky feeling. The Cowboys team is still pretty strong. They're missing a few players, but, the Tigers already struggle talent-wise. We've been talking about it for the last couple of weeks. And now they are missing Naden and Olam to go with Caesar and Bateman, which is giving me a real makeshift feel about the whole team in general. Whereas, the Cowboys' attack still goes all right. And on the other hand, the Tigers' attack is still very poor and cap out at 14 points over their last games. They haven't scored more than 14 points over that period of time and lost every one of them. So, they won't take advantage of the Cowboys' suspicious D as maybe other teams. So I am going to agree with you. I am going to stick with the Cowboys. If I am going to do a prop play, I'm just going to bank on the fact that the Cowboys can cut this team to bits. It could go either way, like we've said with the results. But I'm going to bank on the Cowboys winning minus 14.5 at $2.10.
Nice. My best bet for this one is I'm going to Taulagi and Holmes in this one. The Tigers have given up 3 tries to left centres in their last 5 games, and Bostock crossed very easily against them last week in Magic Round, so that'll give you $4.33 for those 2 there. Manly take on the Storm at Four Pines Park. The Whittaker Cup here we're going. Manly up against the Storm. The Storm are $1.63 favourites in this one. Manly are $2.25 underdogs, and the line is at 2.5. For Manly, Saab returns for the Birds. Nathan Brown also returns. However, Lachlan Croker will miss another week after suffering concussion in round 9, so concerns there for them. For the Storm, Hughes has been named to return, But keep an eye on this one because whether he plays or not will be determined later on in the week. The Storm also have the bye next round as well. So they might give him a little bit more of an extended break and leave him here in Melbourne rather than travelling down there. Manly have a 66% win rate at home, and the Storm have won 10 of their 22 games here. Manly have won 2 of their last 3 games against the Storm and won their last 2 games against the Storm at Four Pines Park. The last time that the Storm beat the Eels by a 30-plus margin, they lost the following week. I'm going Manly here to win at home.
Of course, yeah. Look at the jersey. But bit of an ethical dilemma week this week for us because we've got the Whittaker Cup between the Storm and the Seagulls, and then we've got the Tana Cup between... Yeah, and then we've got the Tana Cup between the Warriors and the Dolphins. So we're at a bit of crossroads here. Speaking of rivalries, though, this is a bitter rivalry. It always is at Four Pines Park as well. And like you said, the Seagulls did win the last game, 18-8, but the Storm did also win the last meeting between the two, 24-6. And both teams are missing 2 key spine players with Trebojevic and Croker, and then Pappenhausen and Munster on the other side. But the Storm had the most dominant performance of Magic Round, and Wishart and Fa'alongo have been great in those Stars places. And if you look on the other hand, the Seagulls have lost 3 straight, and I think they might be, due to the rivalry and due to the history between these guys at the stadium, they might be a little overrepresented here in terms of value due to the history. So I am going to go with the Storm just because I believe the line has decreased, giving them good value here considering the form that they've been in, because they've only recently lost to the Sharks, who the Sharks have been killing everyone. So I am going to go with the Storm. I'm going to go with the Storm minus 4.5 at $2.05. Would it blow my mind if the Seagulls do the boil over? No, because it's Four Pines and these things happen. But I am going to stick with the Storm, who have been a little more reliable lately.
Nice. Oh, what a matchup at the back in this one. Fa'alongo up against Stubby Cooler Cola. Man, it's going to be fireworks out there. My best bet for this game, though, I'm going, the Storm have conceded 9 tries to left wingers this season. Ray Viega, he is named on that left side for Manly. I don't like him to score too many tries, but when the stats are like that, 9 tries to left wingers this season, I'm going to back him in here, and I'm going to take Manly to win at $4.50. The Raiders, they take on the Roosters at GIO Stadium. The Roosters are $1.26 favourites. The Raiders are heavy underdogs in this one at $4, and the line sits at 10.5. For the Raiders, Peter Hawala, he comes in to replace Papali'i. And for the Roosters, Manu returns for them. Luke Keary is good to go despite undergoing an HIA in last week's game. The Roosters, they have a terrible record here, 37% win rate. They have only won 7 of their 19 games. Who has a good record at GIO Stadium, though? The Raiders have won their last 2 games in a row against them and have won 4 of their last 6 games against the Roosters at the venue. I like the Roosters, though. I like what they've been doing this season. I like them to bounce back in this one, to go in here and prove that they can grind out a game against the Raiders. I think the Roosters will win.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think the Roosters should win this one. The Raiders still have a strong pack, but lose another engine piece with Papali'i out, and they're still waiting on Hoskins and Horsburgh. So the depth is looking a little thin on that bench. I'm not going to lie. First time this season where I've looked at the Raiders forward pack and bench and gone, I don't know about that one. Whereas the Roosters lose Watson, who's been great for them, but it hardly matters when they got Cheese coming in and then how stacked they are with Manu coming back as well. So I don't mind Watson being out. It is a big loss, but they still keep rolling. Raiders have had 2 gritty wins to their credit, but if you look at the reality of those results, they probably should have lost both of them. And the Roosters, on the other hand, have been an absolute steamroller where they lost to the Red Hot Sharks, but other than that, you know, they had their chances to win that game, and other than that, they've been beating teams by 20 to 40 points over the last 3 games. So, you know, their attack is deadly from everywhere. Suspicious line D, but if they get ahead early, they'll stay ahead and potentially mount a score, I reckon. So I said I didn't want to get in front of the Roosters bus last week, and it broke down a little bit, but I think it's been in the shop, so I'll trust that it's rolling on all cylinders, and I don't want to get in front of it again this week. I am going to back the Roosters 13 plus into Dom Young anytime try scorer at $3, and that is my double stake for the week.
Ooh. He's all in on this one. I like it. If you're following along, it's 1 unit bet on each of our best bets, and there will be 1 bet that we are going to double stake in this one. Worried about the line defense, about the Roosters. They're worried about some other lines at the moment. Jump into this game and have a look at the pre-game. If Sam Walker has shaved his beard off, go against the Roosters. But if that chin strap is still on, back him. My best bet for this one, Manu has scored 5 tries in his last 4 games at centre against the Raiders, and Crichton scored on them last week as well. I'm going Manu Dom Young Roosters win at $4. The Sharks, they take on the Panthers at PointsBet Stadium. The Sharkies are $1.63 favourites here. Panthers, $2.29 underdogs, and the line is at a close 2.5. Same 17 for the Sharks that knocked off the Roosters at Magic Round. For the Panthers, Sorensen shifts into the starting lineup and Liam Henry returns on the bench also. That dude's a dog as well. I'm so impressed each week what I see out of him. He's almost like a Liam Martin. They've put him in the clone shop and just bought out Liam Henry. For the Panthers, they have only won 7 of their 19 games here at PointsBet, and that's a 37% win rate. They have won 6 of their last 7 games against the Sharks, but the Sharks have won their last 3 games in a row against them here. I'm going Sharks in this one. They've got Penrith in a vulnerable position. This is a very, very different team this year, like we said earlier. You know that old saying, strike while the iron's hot. I think the Sharkies put their fins up in this one.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that thing about the Sharks' recent results against the Panthers here at PointsBet, because I was looking through the previous results and I was thinking, man, I can't really make an argument given these results between the Panthers and the Sharks just as is. Mm-hmm. So I do like that you've brought that up. The Sharks still are at full strength, whereas the Panthers are still without Cleary, obviously. And Garner has been good this year, so they will miss him. And if you look at the Sharks, they're 9-1 on the season, have the biggest points difference at plus 124, haven't lost at home yet, and just beat the red-hot Roosters. They've been absolutely sensational. This light blue could be Sharkies for all I know, man, because they've been absolutely insane. Panthers are coming off a messy performance, and they should have won, but really fumbled. Dylan Edwards, kind of showed maybe vulnerability in a big moment, which has definitely put some questions in my head about my origin selection of him. But, I can't just keep making too many changes or else it gets confusing. So we'll just leave it at that. The defense has still been top-notch, but, it showed vulnerability against a young, hungry Warriors team on the line. And now they face a team who has been the most efficient when attacking opposition lines. So, the Panthers don't get routed by anyone, but the Sharks are playing the better league and will get the win. I think the Sharks have won the last 3 games 1-12 as well. So I will go Sharks 1-12 at $3.10.
Nice, tasty. My best bet in this one. The Sharks have conceded 8 tries to right wingers this season. Taruva here for me. The Panthers have conceded 6 tries to left wingers this season. Mulatalo here for me. And I'm going with the favourite in this one. So Taruva, Mulatalo, Sharks win at $6.50. And I'm changing my double stake. I've just looked at these stats and thought at $6.50 odds, why would I not? I'm all in here on this one. Double staking this one. The Rabbitohs, they take on the Eels at a course stadium. The Eels are $1.88 favourites. Rabbitohs are $1.96 underdogs. And the line is at a very close 0.5 points. This is the interim coach game. Is this what we'll see? We saw it earlier, random stat guys, stats in terms of who was it that got Demetrio that got sacked that came in, but now Trent Barrett gets to have a crack at another interim coach as well. The Rabbitohs Whiten, he shifts to the 5'8" role. Walker moves to halfback. Taupau drops to 18th man. Mild and Cheekham, they are the new centres, and Host returns returns for them from suspension. Bit of a tongue twister in this one. I'm really looking forward to seeing this Whiten and Walker halves combo. It's something that had been screamed about earlier on in the season, so I'm glad we get to see a look at that. Barrett takes the reins here, obviously, for the Eels. Cartwright reverts to the bench, and still no sign of Mitch Moses, which is concerning for Blues fans. Decent win percentages for both teams here at the venue, both floating around 50%. The Bunnies have won 6 of their last 7 games against the Eels and have won their last 4 games in a row against them at a course stadium. Not sure if you can see where I'm going in this one. I think this week is the week. I know the Eels were hoping to get Moses back. He ain't back. I think Souths get it here.
Hey, man, I'm going to go against something that I've been saying for a long time this season, and that is to pick against the Rabbitohs because they look like they've got nothing. but I'm actually going to go against it. I'm agreeing with you, bro. I'm going to pick the Rabbitohs in this battle between two guys trying to get a full-time job coaching their teams. The Rabbitohs, are getting some troops back as well. And we get to see Whiten for the first time at 6, which, it could be a bad thing given some of his form last year for the Raiders, but it's probably going to be the best option for them given some of the ins and outs of guys they've tried so far this year. So I don't actually mind it for the Rabbitohs. They actually hung tough last week and gave them every chance to win. But I saw something from the Eels that I would usually see from the Rabbits, and that is a lack of effort and intensity, especially on defense, especially when the Storm break out from their own try line and some of the tries that they scored. I saw the chasers and I was like, yeah, that's a team who's kind of given up. That's a team with no real effort. And it gets a little sadder now that their longtime coach has been dropped as well. So I think if the Rabbits have any fight left at all in their hearts, they would have circled this game and they will come out determined to get a result more than the Eels at this point. So I am going to back the Rabbitohs for probably the first time since the start of this year. Rabbitohs head-to-head, $2.05. I'm going to take it.
I love it. And I'm going against something that I've been doing every single week, and that's right wingers scoring against the Rabbitohs left edge. Whiten moves into the 5'8" role. He's not in that centre position anymore. So I'm going to go to another player that plays on the left edge, and that's Alex Johnston. He's scored 9 tries. That's 9 tries in his last 4 games against the Eels. I'm taking him for 2+ and the Bunnies to win at $5.75. The Broncos, they take on the Titans at Suncorp Stadium. Broncos, they're $1.22 favourites in this one. Titans are juicy underdogs at $4.35. I say juicy, I should just say heavy. It's not very juicy. And the line sits at 12.5. For the Broncos, Walsh and Billy Smith return while Staggs is ruled out. Cobbo returns to the centres and Karapani retains his spot while Staggs is obviously out. Sit down for this one for the Titans. Weaver has been named obviously to start at halfback. Foran is listed among the reserves as he looks to return from his hamstring injury. Shop's departure sees Fafita in the way of Jojo. Shift to the centre spot. Francis comes in on that wing spot for them. A whole heap of changes for the Titans. The Broncos have won 24 of their 35 total matches against each other. The Titans have a 34% win rate here. And although they beat the Broncos in the most recent meeting between them, the Broncos had won 4 in a row prior to that against them. Another home game for the Broncos. I'm not sure how this happens in back-to-back weeks. Obviously, they had their away game at Suncorp. But for me, Broncos win here in this one.
Wasn't there a away game last week at Magic Round?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's dodgy, man. The fix is in to try to get Broncos into that top 4 again. In terms of the results last year, they did split the games, which is very interesting. And the Broncos did win the biggest result of the two, 43-26. And it is a little bit icky in terms of the squads because both teams are dealing with a whole bunch of injuries. But Broncos do get Reece Walsh back, who is arguably the most dangerous piece to the team. And I know Haas came off the field and then came back on later, but he did come off the field for a long time in the last game, and he looked pretty injured, but he has been named here, so I will be keeping an eye on him, and there is no Stags as well. So, yeah, both teams doing it tough in the injury department. And, despite this, though, the Broncos have been winning with the amount of ins and outs that they've had all year, but it does seem to be getting a little tougher and tougher for them, and it doesn't get much tougher than holding on to a 1-point victory last week over the Seagulls. And the Titans actually looked all right last week and seemingly have a dangerous attack no matter who's out there because it was a pretty makeshift team and they still ran up 24 quick points. But they did old Titans things and they ultimately crumbled, dropped a 14-point lead like the Titans of old do. And, even though I did kind of consider the Titans line, I think I got to trust that the injured Broncos because they've shown me more than the injured Titans. So I have to back the Broncos. This is really weak sauce in terms of a bet. So I might as well double stake this one just to get some value out of it. But I'm going Broncos -7.5 at $1.50 just because the injuries give me a bit of a bad vibe.
Nice. Now, the Titans had conceded 14 tries to fullbacks coming into this one. It does not get any easier or any scarier than seeing Reece Lightning Walsh, Mariner, Broncos 13 plus. I was going to double stake it, but it's only $3.75, and we used that double stake earlier. So that's Walsh, Mariner, Broncos 13 plus, $3.75. Now, for the Tana Cup to seal the deal, it's up the wires and put your fin up. The Dolphins obviously taking on the Warriors at Go Media Stadium. The Dolphins are $1.87 favourites in this. The Warriors are $1.97 underdogs, and the line sitting at 0.5. I think that was the one that I saw earlier, had shifted very quickly. For the Warriors, triple boost for them. Berry, Niokore, and Lussick return. Wade Egan is obviously out due to concussion protocols. He's a bit of a Wigan at the moment. He's walking around like he's got half of the physio table put on him. For the Dolphins, Max Plath returns, so Kenny Bromwich moves to the bench. 2 games between these two. They both won a game each. The Finns won the most recent one, but that was at the back end of last season, and that was when we rested a couple of players. We beat them the last time that we played them at home. I think the Warriors can grind out at another one here. It's going to be very tough for the Dolphins to come into New Zealand, into the hostile Mount Smart Stadium, up against a team that's going to do nothing else but just grind something and hit you. I think the Wires can get something in a low-scoring affair.
Yeah, the Tana Cup, man. There's a few reasons I can't really comment on this game, man, because I'm at a bit of an ethical dilemma because I have been riding the Dolphins real hard lately, given the recent form of the Warriors. And my pick last week kind of showed me that I've lost a bit of faith in the Warriors, picking the Panthers 13 plus in a game they ultimately won. So I'm really disappointed in myself. And I'm kind of
disappointed in you as well, mate.
Yeah, I know. I'm kind of wishing I was a guy with unwavering faith towards the Warriors, and I'm not really that right now. So I'm just gonna have to leave, bro. We got the power, we got the speed, we got the skill sets. All we gotta need. Get out, down, say it to the end. I love the Warriors 100%. Woo! Up the wires, baby. Never a doubt. Premiership winners. Done. Doesn't matter. Injuries galore. C team, they were telling everybody. It's just about effort. Effort plays from effort players. This win was for all of the players out there that never had the skills, never got the talent, but had the effort. I love this Warriors team. Sammy, I'm telling you, I was never happier than this past Sunday.
How good. Warriors fans, man, fire up. Simon's in there. He's ripping the colours at the moment. Someone's got a little bit of faith in the Wires. I'm guessing Jordan's tailed off to put his fin up somewhere in the background there, but I love that. Keeping the faith.
I've actually gone and set his fins gear on fire, so he's just gone to get the fire extinguisher. He's just got brand new fins kit. No longer. He's back on the bandwagon. But in terms of this upcoming game at home, at Go Media Stadium, Mount Smart, I just think you have it right, Sammy. It's going to be a tough one. I was looking at some of the stats. The Finns in their forward pack have an incredible tackle rate percentage. All of their front row type 5s are hovering around that 90% tackle rate. So, I mean, it's going to be tough for us to grind it out and score through the middles. But you look out on those edges, those tackle rates drop to around 60%. So I'm picking, that shape that we run so well, as long as we're getting forward momentum and we've got Niokore back. So that is huge in terms of holding up that defense. Look to those edges for those points. I actually have been scouting some of the odds, and just recently before the anytime try scorers came in, and I'm picking our boy Adam Pompey, $4 anytime is my best bet for this game. And if I was to put a margin and outcome, I do believe this one stays under 13. So I would pick Waz 1 to 12. If you like a little bit extra juice in your margin, go for a Waz somewhere between -4.5, -6, and get a bit of extra juice because it is dead even at the moment.
Yeah, I like it. And in terms of Niokore coming back into the side, that backs up everything in my best bet in this one. It was the milestone man in Dallin. Not sure if you remember that double that he had against them in the last game that they played at Go Media Stadium. Well, he gets to celebrate 200 games of the best. That is back at Mount Smart Stadium. And we talk about players being due. Well, Dallin, he is well overdue. I think that he's going to score in this one and the Warriors just to win. Because I do agree with you, Simon. I think this could be a very tight game here. We're not too sure how this might come about. But the Warriors could blow it out at the back end of it if Dallin maybe gets up to 2 try scorers in this one. But I've got Dallin to score a try and the Warriors to win at $3.40.
Nice. If you let me get a couple more in, I think if we start hot and roll on through, which I think we can get it done. It's going to be close coming into the end of the first half, but Warriors winning first half, Warriors get the job done. $8, that's criminal value for us to have both halves in the bag. So I think if you want to put a picture of faith in the boys,
Oh my god, it's so big.
go for both halves.
Yeah, how good. I like the odds juiced up on that one.
That's
All right, boys. Up the last.
I asked for a best bet, not about 20 of them.
Jordan, take me away, mate. Who have you got in this one?
Yeah, I'm just going to ride with Simon. I'm going to go Warriors 1-12 into Adam Pompey anytime try scorer.
Nice, I like it. So are you officially a fin down now, or are you still on the fence?
Like that with so much energy and so much faith in the Warriors, I got to keep the faith as well. You've been inspiring me with your picks last week. He's inspiring me. I'm going to go with the Warriors, backing them, fins down, burn all my gear, keep it burnt over there. I am a Warriors man through and through.
Eyebrows on that one. The best bets, let's take you through them. I've got Lomax and Sloan to score a try and the Dragons to win at $7.75. Taulagi and Holmes, both to score a try at $4.33. Viaga and Manly to win at $4.50. Manu Young, Roosters win $4. Taruva and Mulatalo into the Sharks to win at $6.50, and I have double staked my odds on that one. Alex Johnson, 2+ tries, Souths win $5.75. Walsh, Mariner, Broncos 13+, $3.75, and ending it with DWZ and the Wires to win at $3.40.
And I've got Bulldogs head-to-head and total points over 40.5 at $2.70. Cowboys -14.5 at $2.10. Storm -4.5 at $2.05. Roosters 13+ into Dom Young anytime try scorer at $3 with a double stake. Sharks 1-12 at $3.10. Rabbitohs head-to-head at $2.05. Broncos -7.5 at $1.50. And then finally, Adam Pompey, anytime try scorer, into Warriors 1-12 at Simon didn't leave me the odds.
I think that was at $8 something, if my memory serves me correctly. We move into the repeat set bets. This is Jordan's bread and butter at the moment. It's just a nice little lock from us. For me this week, I've taken a leaf out of your book. I've gone with something kind of tinny. I've got Sharks and the Broncos both just to win at $1.97. Lock that one up. It's almost double your money.
Yeah, that's not that tinny though. That's actually pretty good. Mine's probably more tinny because I've gone the Roosters head-to-head into Dom Young anytime try scorer at $1.86.
Tasty. $4.20 bets. 40-20 bets. That's our nice big raking punt. Nothing under $4.20 odds. For me this week, I'm going with the 2+ tries again, and I've got two of them. Alex Johnson, Dean Mariner, both to score 2 or more tries, and that is paying $10.68.
And for my 40-20 bet, we've just snuck over again with a $4.30 odds. I'm just liking my two-leggers at the moment. Not that they're hitting, but I feel like I'm closer with my two-leggers. So I'm going Cowboys -14.5 into Rabbitohs head-to-head for $4.30.
Nice, tasty. You're closer with 2 legs than 3 legs because there's one less leg in that one. But yeah, I like it. And it's when it snuck over just beforehand a couple of weeks ago, it landed for you. So we'll back that one. That concludes another episode here. Enjoy Indigenous round. Like, subscribe, give us a little bit of feedback. Jump in on the questions as well, because the more that we get traction going with this, the better it is for us and the more that we can do as well. We've seen a little bit more interaction happening on my end as well. So hopefully some exciting things potentially to come. Enjoy the Wires on the weekend if you're going to it. Shout out to Brandon Pearson. Enjoy those tickets, mate. Wear those shirts loud and proud. And we'll see you guys all next week, mate. Keep the faith.